All right, here we have the heart in the thoracic cavity, and it is surrounded by a pericardium. I am holding the fibrous layer of the pericardium in the forceps here. You can see the sac, the pericardium. We're in the thoracic cavity of the cat. Here is the heart. I'm going to point out the 4 chambers of the heart that we can see from the outside. Here is the right atrium. Here is the left atrium. We can see the little auricle or flap there. Here is the right ventricle. Here is the left ventricle. I know it's the left ventricle because it includes the apex of the heart. At the top of the heart, we see a large blue vein. This is the superior vena cava right here, from the heart to where it branches. Off from the superior vena cava, we find the internal mammary vein that is draining the anterior thoracic wall. So internal mammary, superior vena cava. We come up a little further at the branch. We find the brachiocephalic vein, brachiocephalic, one on each side, left, right, brachiocephalic. It is brachiocephalic until it divides. It divides into, first, external jugular vein in the cat. The large one is the external jugular, and subclavian vein. Here's the subclavian vein. The external jugular divides into external jugular, and here you see a very small non-injected internal jugular vein. In the cat, the internal jugular vein is the smaller. The external jugular is the large. External jugular continues on up into the head, and we see the transverse jugular here. Let's go back to the subclavian. The subclavian vein is the subclavian until the division, the next division, and we can see that best on the other side. So we're going to move over here, find our landmarks. Here's the brachiocephalic to the division, and on the division, after the division, we have one part that is the external jugular, and over here we have the subclavian. This is the right subclavian vein. The right subclavian vein, you can, on this particular side of the cat, you can see it dividing. Here we have a section going here, and here we have a section going on into the arm. The section going on in the arm, even though it's not very apparent here, is the would be the axillary. It looks like it didn't get much latex in this cat. Axillary in the underarm area, and then on into the arm, it would be the brachial vein. And that finishes the veins for the thoracic cavity. I'm sorry. Okay, now let's do another vein here that we can see entering the heart. Yeah, can you see this blue one right here? This blue one is the azygous vein. It's the last vein entering just before you get into the heart. Here's the azygous that is going to be draining the posterior thoracic wall. Here's the azygous, and then we have the superior vena cava right next to it. All right, thanks. All right, thoracic cavities. Now we're looking at the arteries, the thoracic arteries. In this particular cat, I have removed the thoracic veins just so that you're able to see the thoracic arteries a little more clearly. You will not do that in your cat. You will leave the thoracic veins intact and work around them. Here, however, we have the heart again, and the most superior aspect of the heart, we have the aortic arch, and I am moving the probe the way the blood flows. Here is the ascending arch, here's the arch, and here's the descending part. Off the top of the arch, we find 2 blood vessels, 2 arteries. The first one is the brachiocephalic. From the arch up to the branch is brachiocephalic. Okay, here's the brachiocephalic coming off of the aortic arch, and here is the left subclavian. So on the cats, in the cat, we find only 2 arteries branching from the aortic arch. Brachiocephalic coming first, and then the left subclavian coming second. Okay, the brachiocephalic comes up in branches. Now the normal pattern, or the more common pattern in the cat, is that you have 3 branches coming off at this point. This particular cat's a little different in that we have 2 branches here. These are the common carotids. Here we have the left common carotid and the right common carotid. Now the more common branching pattern is that a 3rd blood vessel comes off, a 3rd artery comes off here, and that is the right subclavian. On this particular cat, that branch is just up a little further here. That branch comes at this point. So here we have the right subclavian branching from the common carotid. So again, brachiocephalic. On this cat, we have the left common carotid, the right common carotid, and then we have the right subclavian coming here. The right subclavian, as it moves into the underarm, becomes the axillary blood vessel, and as it moves on into the arm itself, it becomes the brachial artery. So you can see those here. On this side, we have the left subclavian coming up in the underarm region. It's the axillary, and as it moves on down into the arm, it is the brachial artery. Okay. One last artery we need to add in the thorax. We have off from the subclavian artery, we have the internal mammary. Here's the internal mammary artery that branches and serves the anterior thoracic wall. So internal mammary, this in particular one is cut because as I opened the thorax, I ended up needing to cut that. Okay, that finishes the thoracic artery.